It was actually 1870 when this building was constructed, and the bar came in a few years later.
Take a drive down historic C Street in North Springfield, and you'll feel like you've been transported to a distant past.
But you can imagine just right after Civil War, kind of what this would have looked like in here.
Lindberg'S Tavern, dubbed Springfield's oldest tavern, has been a Springfield staple for years. Take a step inside, and you'll be greeted with an atmosphere that gives an obvious nod to the building's history.
I think when you design something here, you start with the bar and you design it around that. So you just kind of, you've got the tin walls and the tin ceilings, and you don't see that a lot and as intact as it is. And I just can't think of anything else you'd do but keep it sort of traditional, a little rustic.
Ryan Dock has been co-owner of Lindberg'S Tavern for more than a decade. He says one part of owning such a big piece of history is keeping that history alive.
The history we know, we've kind of traced out. It's on our menu. It goes through and it's on our website. We kind of go through the history a little bit.
Although the property is more than a century old, Doc was able to date one story to shortly after the building was constructed, when the owners ran a brothel out of the top floor of the structure.
We found the arrest warrant for the madam that used to run it. Her name was Belle Wilson. And we found the arrest warrant from 1872, and it was described as a bawdy house and a house of ill repute.
Other stories involve a well-known company based out of St. Louis, Missouri.
It won awards at times for serving the most Anheuser-Busch beer in the state. At times they had a safe that would sit up front, and they would cash the railroad worker checks, and they said even back then it would be as much as $30,000 a week. For these railroad workers. And then they just did beer up front. They had a little liquor store in back and the brothel upstairs. So it was just sort of a one-stop shop, more or less, for the railroad workers.
While tracing the building's history, Doc says they have found no shortage of tall tales and legends that go along with Lindberg'S history as well.
Well, we get a lot of, Bonnie and Clyde were in here, and, Wild Bill Hickok, that sort of thing. There's a legend about somebody shooting the bar, that someone stole tomatoes from the farmer's market that was around here, and the farmer chased him in here and shot buckshot into the bar. And there's a little evidence of something that might have happened like that up there.
There's also different stories about how the bar, which Doc considers the centerpiece of the building, got there in the first place.
Some people say it came on covered wagon, and some people say it came on the train. We know that they actually built train tracks into the bar to bring the top bar in as one solid piece of mahogany.
Out of all of the history that Lindberg'S has to offer, Doc says one of the things that stand out the most to him are the musicians that have come to Lindberg'S to play on its stage.
So back in the 70s and 80s, Bruce Rader, who ran it, would bring in a lot of Chicago blues acts, a lot of people on Alligator Records, so like Coco Taylor, Taj Mahal, Willie Dixon, just to name a few.
From a brothel and a Wild West hangout to a Springfield staple, Lindberg'S Tavern is a relic to the community and a way for us to look back in time through the history of historic C Street.
Probably be a lot of embarrassed, responsible people now, if these walls could talk. But the history they would tell would be incredible. The musicians they've seen come through here would be, legendary for sure.